Hello, everybody. My name is Liz, and I am the manager here at the Birdhouse on Monroe Ave. We are located at 3035 Monroe Avenue, and we are actually open, so we are open for business. You can come into the store. We're open 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. And today I was asked by Dana to go over some binoculars with you guys as far as what all those numbers mean, first of all, that are all over them and how to best focus them, and of course some recommendations if you're looking for some binoculars, some that I would recommend personally that I've had good luck with that I really like. So the first thing I want to talk about is, first of all, the numbers that you see on your binoculars. So these are the Monarch 5 binoculars here, and these are our best-selling binoculars at the moment, and they have been for quite a while. And you can see, and this is the same for just about any pair of binoculars, they have some numbers on them. It's usually one number followed by an X and then another number, another larger number. So the first number, like these, I don't know if you can see it there, this says 8 by 8 times 42, or 8 by 42. So the 8, that's going to be your magnification. So that's the power of the binoculars. So this means that by using these binoculars, everything's going to look 8 times closer to you than it would with your naked eye. So that's your magnification right there of the binocular. The second number, that 42 number, which is a really common number now with binoculars, yours might be a 42 or a 50, that is going to be the objective lens. So that is the size of the lens here, the lens that's furthest away from your face when you're looking through them. So that's the objective lens size in millimeters. So in general, the larger the millimeter size is, so the larger that second number, the more light is going to be let in to the binocular. That's a generalization, but it's usually quite true, and I'll show you how you can figure out what that is as well. Another number you might see on here, this one it says 6.3 degrees, and that's actually the field of view. So that's the angle of the field of view, and the larger the angle is, the more field of view you have. So this one is 6.3, and just to compare, the ProStaff 3 binocular here has an angle of 7.2. So this actually has a larger field of view than the Monarch binoculars do, and the Monarch 5s at least. And then the Monarch 7 binoculars here have an angle of 8. So they actually have an even larger field of view than all of them combined. So that is what that means. And field of view is going to be the amount that you can see through the binocular when you're looking through it. So it's just how wide you are looking. And in general, the higher up in magnification you go, it lessens your field of view. So if you have a binocular that's an 8 power, so this is an 8 by 42 binocular here. If you have the same binocular in a 10 power, you're going to have more magnification. So if those numbers say 10 by 42 instead of 8 by 42, you'll have 10 times magnification, which is larger magnification, but it does limit the field of view. The field of view does get a little bit smaller. So for most people, they go with an 8 power binocular with millimeter size lenses are usually of 40 and above. So if you get something smaller, like if you have a little pair of compact binoculars like this, with the millimeter size on the lenses being so small, they tend to have a really small field of view. So it can be hard to get your subject in view if you've got these small compact binoculars, because that field of view is so small. So for most people, when they're birding, they go for something that's a 7 or an 8 power. And those are great for if you're looking for songbirds, especially warblers that tend to bounce around a lot. You're going to want something that has a 7 or 8 magnification. If you go higher, that's great for things like hawk watching. So if you're doing a lot of hawk watching, you might want to go with a 10 power, because you'll be able to get some more detail. You'll be able to see that hawk just a little bit closer than you would with the 8 power binocular. So even though your field of view is limited, if you're trying to identify your subject that's quite far away, you might want to go with a 10 power binocular as opposed to the 8. So when you're looking for binoculars, also keep in mind light transmission. So in general, just like the field of view, as you go up in magnification, it tends to limit that field of view, and it also limits the amount of light coming in a bit. And you can tell what the exit pupil, you can kind of see it. See the little pinpricks of light there that are coming through the binocular? That's called the exit pupil. And the larger that little pinprick of light is, the brighter of an image you're going to get through your binocular. So here I've got the Monarch 5 8 powers. If I were to show you the 10 power binocular, the light would be smaller. And you can figure out what the exit pupil number is. So that has a number as well. That's not usually, I don't think, would be listed on this part here. But you can find out what the exit pupil number is by taking your millimeter size, so taking 42 and dividing it by 8. And that will give you your exit pupil size. So for example, I have two compact binoculars here. I've got the Nikon Aculons. Now these are a 10 power binocular. These are 10 by 25s. So they're 10 times magnification, and the millimeter size here on these lenses are 25 millimeters. So you're going to get some good magnification, but you're going to have a small millimeter size here, so that is going to not get in so much light. So this has an exit pupil number of 2.5. When I take that the 25 millimeter size of the lens and divide it by 10, gets you 2.5. So that has an exit pupil of 2.5, whereas these Vortex Diamondbacks 8 by 32, that's an 8 times magnification, 32 millimeter size lenses here, has an exit pupil of 4. And if I line these upright, you might be able to see the difference there. Yeah, you can see it, especially in this lens right here. If you look, you can see the difference in the exit pupil size. The binoculars on the top, the Nikon Aculons, which are the 10 by 25, they have a much smaller exit pupil than the Vortex do, which are the 8 by 32. So the Vortex down below is going to let in more light. So you can see that little exit pupil. If you hold your binoculars up and far away from you, you can see that little pinprick of light. And the larger that light is, the more light is going to come in through the binocular. So you do want something that is bright, as bright as possible, because that'll help you see your subject better. And then another thing that helps with the brightness is going to be the coatings on the binoculars. And most binoculars have some kind of coatings. And in general, the more coatings you get on the binocular, the better it's going to be, the better light transmission, the better the picture is going to look. And so you might see some binoculars that are listed as being coated, and that means they have a single layer of coating on some of the lenses somewhere. Sometimes they're called fully coated, which means there's a single layer of coatings on every glass surface. So all 4 of these glass surfaces would have some kind of coatings on them if they're fully coated. You might hear of them being multi-coated, which is even better, and that means that there's multiple layers on at least one of these lenses. But what you really want, if you want to get the best kind of picture out of your binoculars, is something that's fully multi-coated, and that means that there's multiple layers on all of your glass surfaces. So not only is the surface that you're actually pointing towards your face, is that coated, but all of the inside layers are coated as well. So there's multiple layers of glass inside of here. And when they're fully multi-coated, all of those glass pieces have some sort of coatings on them. And that's going to give you better resolution if they are fully multi-coated. So you've got your binoculars, you've picked out which kind you like, and now it's time to get them adjusted to your face here. So there's different things you can do. First of all, a lot of binoculars, you can angle them like this to fit your eyes better. And different people like different types of binoculars. I tend to like binoculars that are like this. Certain people like the Poro Prism binoculars. Some people like the ones that are more barrels like this. So it all just depends on what you're comfortable with, and there's different styles for everybody. And so you can angle your binoculars to get them to fit you well. And then most binoculars will have eye cups that either twist up, like these twist, or even like these Aculons we were seeing before. They've got rubber, which is a little hard to tell in this light, I guess, but they've got rubber cups that can actually fold down. And the reason that they fold down is for eye relief. So I folded one down. You can kind of see the difference there. So if your binoculars don't have the twisting eye cups or adjustable eye cups that you can tell, most of them do have rubber that can fold down or pop up. And this does help with eye relief. And eye relief is the distance away from your eye to the lens. So if you wear glasses, you want your eye cups or your eyes to be closer to the lens, so you can put those down because your glasses will already have a little bit of a barrier there between your eyes and the binocular. So with that, with glasses, you want to make sure your eye cups are twisted down or folded down. If you don't wear glasses, you can twist your eye cups up, and that just keeps your eyes a little bit further away from the glass that you're looking through, and it stresses your eyes out a little bit less. I keep mine all the way twisted up. Some people like them twisted just partial. So just play with it and see what works best for your eyes. Then, of course, there's the focus. So all binoculars are going to have some kind of focus in general, unless they're a perma-focus binocular. You're going to have some kind of focus, usually a little wheel here, and that will change the focus on both of the barrels of the binocular. But most binoculars also have what's called a right eye diopter, and that's right here, and that's on the right eye, and that can be focused as well. And the idea there is that most people have small differences between their two eyes as far as how they focus. So you want to make sure that you've got your binoculars all focused, and then you cover the left barrel of the bino and look through it with both eyes. Keep both eyes open, but look through and focus your right eye diopter until that is finely tuned with your right eye. And then I go back and I do the center focus again. And sometimes I play with it a couple times before I get that really crisp picture. But you do want to make sure you focus both, because that'll give you the best picture in your binocular. You might hear about close focus, and close focus is how close your binocular can focus. So if your binos have a close focus of, say, 10 feet, your subject has to be 10 feet away from you in order for you to be able to focus on it. If it has a close focus of more like 6 feet, that means that your subject only has to be 6 feet away from you in order to focus on it. Might not be very important for hawk watching, but if you are into butterfly watching, close focus can be important. If you're looking for to focus on a butterfly that's pretty close to you and only a few feet away, close focus would be something to look for on your binoculars. Another thing to keep in mind, most binoculars have some kind of water resistance to them. If they say they're water resistant, usually that means you can use them in the rain, they're not going to get harmed, but they're not submersible. You can't really dip them in water or drop them in the water. If they're waterproof, fully waterproof, then that means they are submersible, so that you could, in theory, drop them in the water, leave them there for a few days, go pick them up a few days later, and they would be just fine. So water resistant is good for most people, but being fully waterproof means that they could be submersed for any reason that happens. If you drop them or what have you, they would be okay after that. So there's definitely different types of binoculars and coatings. Another type of optic that you might be interested in are called monoculars. And we sell these especially to people if they have astigmatism or if they can only see well out of one eye and you don't need the full set of binoculars. This is just a single barrel and it operates just like the binoculars would, but it's just a single lens to look through. And they have the focus here, just like the right eye diopter focus. And these come in different sizes as well. And these are called monoculars for one barrel. And then many of you are probably familiar with scopes as well, especially if you're doing hawk watching. And again, it's the same idea as a monocular. It's a single barrel that you look through, and scopes are great to see great distances, whereas binoculars most of the time are an 8 power, 10 power. They max out usually around a 12 power. And the reason for that is if you have anything that's higher than that, it's usually hard to keep your hands steady enough to keep the subject in focus if it's anything 12 power and above. So that is when you go to the scopes like this. And this is a scope that has a 20 to 60 times zoom. So it starts off by having your subject look 20 times closer to you than it would with the naked eye. And then it goes up to 60 times zoom. So they have scopes will have some kind of zoom feature on them. This one happens to be right here, and this is how you can focus, or you can zoom in on your subject. So you always want to start off low, start off at the lowest power, and then go up. And this one has a focus on it as well, right here. When you use a scope, again, all the same things apply. So there's going to be magnifications on it. There's going to be millimeter size of a lens. This one happens to be an 85 millimeter lens. And again, a lot of scopes will come either 60, sometimes 50 to 80 or 80 plus millimeter size lens. The larger the millimeter size lens, the more light's going to come in. So if you have the choice between a 60 millimeter or an 80 millimeter, and there's just a couple $100 difference, I would always recommend going with the higher millimeter size because it lets in so much more light. And as you zoom in, if you remember, just like the power of the binoculars, the 8 times magnification lets in more light than the 10 times magnification. As you zoom in and as you're getting your subject closer and closer in the scope, it will make the light shrink as well. So the more light coming in to your optics, the better. So the larger this millimeter is, the millimeter size is of your scope, the more light's going to come in, and that's what you want when you're looking through for your subject. So scopes, you definitely want to put them on a tripod because otherwise there's no way you can keep them steady when you're looking for birds or ducks or your birds of prey as they're flying overhead. So you definitely want a tripod, and there's all kinds of different tripods that you can get. You could probably find one that's as expensive as your scope is if it's a carbon fiber tripod, but you want to get a nice tripod. You don't want to skimp on the tripod because your scope is usually going to cost you, at least they start off for a decent scope is going to be about $600 or so, and they can go way up from there. This is about let's see, this is the Viper. This is about $1,000 scope. And so you want to protect your investment. So you want to get a nice tripod that's not a cheap, $20 tripod, because you're holding something expensive and heavy on top of it. So that is my little intro here to binoculars and scopes and monoculars. If you are on the market for binoculars and you want a couple suggestions, do have some that I recommend. If you are just getting into birding and you're looking for something nice, but it's not going to break the bank, you can't go wrong with these. These are the Nikon ProStaff 3s, and they're an 8x42, so they're an 8 power. They've got the 42 millimeter size lens, and these will run you $120. So they're not super expensive, and they have a nice warranty on them. If anything breaks, Nikon fixes them for you, and that goes with all these binoculars I'll show you today. They all have some kind of warranty, but this is a great entry-level binocular you can't go wrong with. The Monarch 5s I had pulled out earlier. That's our best seller here, and these are going to be a step up, so these are more in the $280 range. That's how much these are at the moment. Great middle of the road binocular if you're getting into birding and you want something that's really nice, but it's not going to run you a whole bunch of money. These are great. They're great in low light conditions as well. So if you're looking for owls, or if you're out early in the day, these let in a lot of light. They let in a lot of color. And these are called the Nikon Monarch 5s. You can get them in an 8 power. You can get them in a 10 power. They also make them in a 12 power too. And then going up, if you want something that's a step above, this is what I have at the moment right now. I haven't made the leap to a more expensive binocular, but these are the Monarch 7s, and I love these so much. They're probably one of my favorite things that I own. These are going to run you about $500. So these are the 8 power is $480, the 10 power is $500. What makes these better than the Monarch 5s are they have different coatings on the glass, so that lets in more light, more color, more sharpness, clarity, and they have a larger field of view. So compared to the Monarch 5s, they will have a larger field of view, so you get to see more of your subject in view when you're using them. So these are the Monarch 7s, and they come in 8 powers, they come in at 10 power. We've sold a lot of these to the different hawk watchers. And then if you want a step up from there, which I haven't made the leap yet, but it's only a matter of time. As we all know, as bird watchers, it's only a matter of time before you make the next step up to your better optics. These are Leica binoculars, and these are the Leica Trinivids, which it's been in their line for a really long time. And these are more expensive, like $950 or $1,000. Depending on the magnification you get. And what makes these different are, of course, the coatings. Leica is known for its glass and the coatings on the glass, and then the inner workings of it as well. Whereas the binoculars I've been showing you, all of the prisms and the glass, all of that inside of these binoculars, it's all held together with plastic. All the parts inside are plastic. Whereas Leica, all of the inner workings are held by steel. So they are in there. They're not going to move. When we first got these in at the store, the rep just threw them across the floor. It was very dramatic. And they fell on the floor, and we all gasped. And then he looked at them afterwards and said they're completely fine. And he said he does that all the time. I would not do that personally, and I would not recommend that. But he was right. They're full of steel cages which hold in the object, so they're going to be heavier than the others I was showing you, but they are built to last, and they're really, really high quality. You can't go wrong with Leicas. They're a great birding binocular. They've been around forever. And if you're looking for something compact, I do like these Vortex Diamondbacks that I was showing you before, because they have those larger millimeter sizes compared to, it's a little dark to see, but these have pretty small millimeter sizes here. This is a 21 millimeter size lens. This is a 32 millimeter size lens. It just lets in more light, and it's not a very big binocular. It's still nice and compact if you're looking for something to put in your bag, or if you're kayaking and you want something small, these are a great binocular. So that's what I would recommend, what we currently stock in the store. We're always looking for the best, newest, and greatest thing. So the recommendations over time might change, but these are a good core line of binoculars, a nice core group that we've carried for a long time, and people just love them. So those are my recommendations. If you're looking for binoculars, of course, we always have them here at the store. And you can come in and visit us 7 days a week, and we are constantly trained in binoculars, how to use them, what's the latest and greatest. So we do have these all here for you to look through. We've been sanitizing everything and cleaning everything after being viewed, so they're totally safe to look through. And we're always here to help. If you have any questions, just stop in and visit us anytime, or give us a call, and we're happy to give you a recommendation. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you in person at sometime in the near future. Thanks. Bye-bye.